You beautiful people, Aaron here, back with another video. With the introduction to Dendro, we have received a good amount of new units for this element. So far, we've received a quick swap DPS, off-field supports, and an off-field DPS. But there are two archetypes not touched in the Dendro roster as of yet, one of which being the main DPS archetype. But what does a main DPS for the Dendro element look like? Well, apparently it looks like Al-Haitham. But how does he work, and how do you want to use him? That's what we're talking about today. Before we get into it, I have to say that if you do like my content, please like, comment, and subscribe to my channel, as it helps me more than you can imagine. Also note that there are chapters for you all to easily peruse at your leisure. Alright, time to get into it. So, what does Alhaitham do? Alhaitham is an on-field Dendro main DPS character with a specialization as a spread DPS. He's able to deal a good amount of damage with his normal attacks, but that's not where a vast majority of his damage lies. Most of it is instead in his skill. But what does it do? Well, there's a lot to it. The first thing it does is it causes Alhaitham to charge forward and deal Dendro damage to enemies he collides with. Holding the skill button will allow Alhaitham to aim where he is charging toward. This part of his skill is identical to Chimes, except it's Dendro, so you could just think of it like that. But that's not all it does. Alhaitham's skill also comes with a mirror mechanic that allows him to gain up to 3 mirrors. These mirrors will attack nearby enemies in a cone in front of him, dealing Dendro damage. For instance of mirror strikes, these mirrors will strike the same amount of times that he has mirror stacks. So 1 is 1 time, 2 is 2 times, and 3 is 3 times. When Alhaitham has any sort of mirrors, his normal attacks gain a Dendro infusion that cannot be overwritten. Using the initial cast of his skill also grants Alhaitham 1 mirror or 2 mirrors if he currently has none. His Ascension passives completely impact his skill too, as his first Ascension passive will make his next charged or plunging attack summon a single mirror, and his fourth grants a % damage bonus on his mirror attacks and his elemental bursts damage. That leads me to his elemental burst. On first look, it is the same as Kuching's, but it gets a bit more complicated. Alhaitham summons an area in front of him that deals 4 instances of Dendro damage. However, this ability also interacts with his mirror mechanic. For every mirror he currently has, when his burst is cast, his elemental burst consumes them and then adds 2 more instances of Dendro damage on his burst per mirror. Then he gains mirrors based on the amount of mirrors not consumed. He also has normal ICD everywhere except for his skill, which has a unique 2-hit ICD, making his third mirror strike much more important. But how do you want to use him? Well, it is incredibly important to have maximum uptime of his third mirror, as it allows his mirror attacks to hit 3 times, which would then allow his mirrors to proc spread alternating between twice and once per coordinated attack. In fact, his skill makes up for about 46.6% of his entire damage output, with his normal attacks and elemental burst each making up about 26.7% of his entire damage output, which is just representative of how important his skill is. If you don't have his burst up, you could still get those 3 mirrors by using his skill, then charge attack, and finally attack relentlessly until you have 1 mirror left. But it is better to have his elemental burst up for more damage. As stated before, his skill makes up most of his damage output, with his normal attacks and burst making up about equal parts of what's left over. So his talent priority would be skill first and then burst and normals together. Quite simple. Now you may be wondering what weapons to use with him. The easiest rule to follow when it comes to weapon choices for him are crit weapons first, then % damage, then elemental mastery, and finally attack focused weapons. So obviously his signature weapon is best on him due to its huge crit stats and EM scaling flat damage. But after that, well, the normal Jade Cutter is great for him and his second best choice. Then you have Haran and Midsplitter, which are both great options. They end up granting Alhaitham very similar damage outputs at Refinement 1, so either will do. Then there's the Harbinger of Dawn, which is the weapon you should be looking for if you don't have the above options. It is incredibly valuable and is best free to play and low spender option, but with the downside of needing to be above 90% HP. If you don't have any of these, or you have Harbinger and struggle to stay above 90% HP, then you can run the Yokai Umbrella, which is good but only in single target situations. If you can't meet the conditions for that weapon, the Black Sword and the Iron Sting are decent substitutes. Since Alhaitham benefits from attack, elemental mastery, Dendro damage % bonus, and Dendro resistance shred, we have 2 main artifacts in mind for him. These 2 artifact sets are the Gilded Dream set and the Deepwood Memory set. As per usual, the Deepwood set is crazy good on Alhaitham, but only if no one else is using this set. The main draw of Deepwood is its resistance shred, which can be used on a variety of other more supportive units like Kokomi, Yao Yao, Zhongli, and Nahida. So you are mainly looking to put this set on another character to then allow Alhaitham to wear a 4-piece of Gilded Dreams. For other options, you can run any 2-piece combo of Gilded Dreams, Flower of Paradise Lost, and Wanderer's Troop for the Elemental Mastery, plus Deepwood Memories for the Dendro damage % bonus. You could also run Emblem of Severed Fates if you really need some more energy recharge. For main stats, you're looking for HP on the Flower and attack on the Feather, like always. then Dendro damage percent on the Goblet and crit on the Circlet. For Sans, you have a lot of different options. First is Elemental Mastery, which is his best pick. However, what is more important here are the crit substats that he needs. Crit is so much more important for him than anything else. So much so that a decent attack percent Sans will heavily outdamage that of a bad Elemental Mastery one. However, the aim is Elemental Mastery, even if it is just slightly behind in crit stats, as it is straight up better. Lastly, you can look for an energy recharge Sans if you don't have a whole lot of ER. Some substats will do, but if you don't have any but do have other godlike substats, then putting an ER Sans on him for burst uptime is all around really good. For his substats, you are looking for about a 1-to-2 crit ratio, hoping to float around 70 to 140. Next up is about 250 to 300 Elemental Mastery when not including any buffs. And lastly, about 130% to 145% energy recharge. If you have a hard time generating energy for him, or you want to use him in a comp with no other Dendro character, then this requirement can go up to 175, but that much ER is not really all that worth it since his burst doesn't deal insane damage and there are other ways to get his third mirror stacks. Now let's get into team comps, some of which are better than others. Let's start with the initial spread team comp. Al-Haitham's spread team comp is very straightforward. You're looking to enable your Al-Haitham to hit hard whenever he applies his element to the target. The units recommended for Al-Haitham's spread damage teams are Nahida, who should almost always be paired with him as she is his best support, the Raiden Shogun, and Bennett. Substitutes would be Yao Yao and Beidou for Nahida and Raiden Shogun respectively. For Bennett, you can sub him for Zhongli, Diona, Kuki, or Dori. What you're looking for with this comp is to mega buff Al-Haitham with the attack buff from Bennett and EM buffs from Nahida and Bennett wielding a sapwood blade. All these buffs are absolutely insane and end up doubling the damage output of Al-Haitham. However, without sapwood, Bennett isn't too great, and you'll get better and safer results from Zhongli. Dori and Kuki are also decent options as they both heal Al-Haitham and can grant buffs from the Forest Regalia and Sapwood, as well as the Noblesse and Tenacity set. Dori can do a bit more in battering Al-Haitham, whereas Kuki is a much safer pickup and will pop off with Hyper Blooms. For the main suggested comp, the rotation is actually very simple. You're looking to use Raiden's skill first, then Nahida's skill, normal attack, then burst. This is to get her EM buff as high as possible. The normal attack can be skipped in later rotations, or in all, as it's just for min-maxing purposes. Then Bennett would come on field, use his skill, and burst. After that, Al-Haitham would pick up the leaf Bennett dropped from Sapwood and go through his combo. The rotation would end with Raiden Shogun's burst for energy generation and repeat. Spread may be his best comp, but he can also work in a few more, just not as well. Nilo teams are one spot where he fits quite well. Along with Nilo, you're looking to use Nahida, Yulan, or Candace for the off-field elemental application and damage boosting. And there's Yao Yao or Kokomi for the healing aspect that is much needed in Nilo teams. As per usual, you'll want to start with Nilo's skill and then the Dendro supporting character skill. If it's Nahida, then you'll want to burst afterward. After that is your other Hydro characters kit, then onto Alhaitham to finish things off. Next up is a burning team, which isn't good because burning is just not a good reaction, but I just thought I'd mention it. First off is a pyro character to apply pyro to targets. You don't need consistent pyro application, so characters like Toma and Xinyan would be good here, but Bennett and Xiangling can also work if you have them available. Then, of course, it's going to be Nahida and Yao Yao as the other Dendro unit. Finally is the character that you use to interact or amplify the reaction's damage. This could be Albedo for the EM buffing, extra off-field damage, and minor defensive utility. Could be Rosaria for the reverse melt action, Venti for some crazy good grouping and pyro annihilation, Sucrose for the pyro res shred and EM buffing, or Kazuha for the percent damage buffing and pyro res shred. And then you also have Jean to use for a burning sunfire comp, all of which work, and I am sure I'm forgetting some too, but you get the premise. You could also adapt this into a Burgeon team with Jingshou, Yolan, and Toma if you would like. Lastly, there's a specific free-to-play team in Hyperbloom. This will be one of his best, if not the best composition he has for a player without a lot of units. This team comp includes Edo, or the Dendro Traveler, Jingshou, and Kuki Shinobu. This comp is very safe due to Kuki's and Jingshou's healing, plus Jingshou's damage and knockback resistance. And there's Kuki Shinobu's insane Hyperbloom damage output that Beidou can't steal. Instead, Beidou would heavily benefit from the AoE Quicken Aura that she and Alhaitham would apply to everyone. It's the perfect mixture of both AoE and single target, so if you don't have access to a Quicken comp above and want to feel some sort of strength with Alhaitham, then this is the comp for you. Alhaitham is a very valuable unit with a huge damage ceiling and a high damage floor. He's able to pack a major punch and is a very powerful and versatile character in the game. He's also an incredibly free-to-play friendly unit that doesn't take much work to get online to near maximum efficiency. The only reason there is not to pick him up is simply the fact that you don't like him. Otherwise, he's going to work wonders for your account. But what do you guys think of Alhaitham? Are you excited for him? Are you pulling? What team do you intend to use with him? Tell me your thoughts in the comments down below. But with that, I'm gonna have to say goodbye. Thank you all so much for watching, and I hope hope you all have a wonderful day. Bye bye!